Today, we will look at how to build high time frame bias and then sniper scalping with 1-minute charts. We will do a top-down analysis starting from weekly. After all that, we will focus on 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and finally the 1-minute charts. This will be an extremely detailed trading video. Hope you do not miss it. If you're ready, let's start. Welcome our free trading course, all about price action trading strategies and smart money concepts. If you love scalping and day trading or even swing trading and looking for special trading strategies, check out my free trading course. You can find the links on Google Drive or directly from my website, which is in the description. Okay, today let's talk about how to look at markets from a high time frame perspective to a low time frame perspective by going slowly. This is your daily chart here. What do you see here? What kind of moves? You can notice the strong structure shift right at this point with 3 big candlesticks. This is a very high quality break, extremely strong, large body candlesticks that make a strong downwards movement. This also creates this significant order block, which is actually also an engulfing pattern. Here is my perspective on this chart. Just because I saw a market structure shift, I do not say the trend changed and Bitcoin will go down to $10,000 or something will happen and Bitcoin will fly to $50,000. I do not care about those as a trader. I do not think about uptrend or downtrend. These charts only tells me this daily order block is a possible reaction zone. I can take small trades in this area and get out of the market. That's it. I have zero clue about the future of Bitcoin and I have zero care about what will happen to Bitcoin. I only care about reaction points and taking small bites from markets as a trader. Now focusing on the 4-hour chart. From the 4-hour perspective, you can see this internal structure shift which created a significant downward movement. When you use your optimal trade entry tool, you start to get clues about the market. This OTE zone keeps the price intact, and right above the imbalance and balanced price range combo is like a brick wall. You can see candlestick bodies always below it. Let's switch to the 1-hour chart and take a closer look. Remember our last video, how we predicted this rally? This rally basically cleared all this downtrend liquidity and filled the mega imbalance right at this point. Now, in the 1-hour chart, we have a significant high, danger liquidity. It is also blocked by this 1-hour order block, which caused a massive move downwards. It is obvious that the price having a hard time passing here at the $30,000 level, a round number. Let's have a much deeper look within 15-minute time frame and talk about what is going on. This specific 15-minute imbalance, I was watching this area for a long time. It is a very significant and a special point. It is supported by this nice uptrend liquidity. I determined this area as a possible target sooner or later. I do not know when, but I knew that the price would hunt this area like a giant magnet when the time is right. Okay, the same chart now with 5 minutes. As you can see, all we do is extremely simple. We keep going down. Started with 1 day and then 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes and now 5 minutes. All we do is 3 simple things. Identify key structures, order blocks, breaker blocks, imbalances and so on. Then think about where the price may want to go, looking for especially liquidity, equal highs and lows, and imbalance combos. Finally, we think about how we can enter a trade. I want you to focus on this specific area on the left. Let's zoom in. What do you see here? One of the most perfect equal highs you can ever see. It's like drawn by hand or algorithms. Who knows, you decide. If you check your 1-minute chart, you will also notice a very clear imbalance and BPR combo right above the equal highs. Okay, let's get back to the zoomed out view. You remember this extremely boring range, right? The weekend range. Now this was an obvious PO3 preparation. Orders were accumulating. Here we had a dilemma here. We had two cases. Case 1. Price goes down to this 15-minute imbalance and clears the liquidity, makes its manipulation phase, and then shoots up to hunt the perfect equal highs above. Or case 2, price goes up, clear the perfect equal highs first, fill the imbalance, and then go down to the target. I had no idea which one was going to happen first. I am not an oracle. These was two possible cases. However, what happened? Case 2 happened. Price moved up first and made its manipulation phase. Why this area? Let's count what happened here. 1-minute imbalance and BPR filled. 5-minute perfect equal highs hunted. 5-minute swing failure pattern happened. We are in the 4-hour OTE zone. We are in the 4-hour imbalance and BPR zone. We are in the manipulation phase of PO3. But forget all of this. We have perfect target below. Remember, what matters is target. We need a reason to enter a trade, a direction. Let me zoom in on this area within 2 minutes so we can dissect the perfect entry, the sniper scalping entry. All great now. The price is super induced. Let's see what we have here. Price makes a significant break here. Notice the candlesticks that make the break. Two extremely large candlesticks. If you use your Fibonacci tool, you notice the OTE zone, which also collides with this large imbalance. All these also intersect with this nice order block. All together, this is your dragon fruit entry point. Extremely significant and powerful entry level. What do you see here? A miniature example of the 4-hour chart that we just discussed, a fractal version of it. Yes, all we do is just trade fractals in multiple time frames. We keep doing the same thing over and over again with different time frames. From now on, your exact entry point actually does not matter. A bit below or higher depending on your timing and skills. You can see how this perfect power of 3 came into play after all the boring weekend accumulation. I saw that many of you took this trade on Twitter. I joined this party a bit later with a market order, but the purpose was clear. Let's clear the chart and talk about the significant liquidity point. I want to be really clear. This was an extremely close swing high point to our entry, and in my opinion, the price could have easily taken this high out and then made a structure shift. When I have an entry that is extremely close to an untaken swing high or low, I rethink about my risk and reduce it. This was a possible case. No one in the world knows all this for sure. If you stopped out with the previous trade, this should have been your second try. Why? Because we have an extremely clear trading setup here with an amazing target below. Your first entry sometimes will be wrong, even though your setup was correct. No one gets it right 100% of the time. Nothing wrong with you or your trades. You just stick to your rules and keep trading clear setups. Okay folks, another adventure ends here. As always, all these trading methods are suitable for scalping, day trading, or even swing trading. I believe that it will be really helpful in your trading life.